Hey guys, Captain Smash here, bringing you another Smash blog on the real reason why you're fat. So now, check it out. Got a couple diets on the board here. Keto, low carb, paleo, Atkins, moderate portion size diets, zone diets. Why do these diets work? What's the real takeaway message? Is it just because the calories are lower? Because I mean, that overall is a part of it and why you initially lose weight, but it's not the overall underlying principle behind the diets. Why do these diets work? And what's going on behind the scenes? I'll tell you what. All of these diets in here all influence your insulin level, okay? So, there's always this big controversy over whether, it's hormone that's affecting your diet or simply calories in, calories out. The real answer is it is all about insulin and how your body stores calories. So now let's take a look at keto, okay? You're eating pretty much high fat, very low protein, very low carbohydrates. What does that equal? Very low insulin levels. So decrease in weight loss. That one is really easy to see. That's why people are having such good success on the ketogenic diet, because their insulin levels are very low. It's treating the problem. Low carbohydrate, again. So you're not eating very many carbs, you're eating smaller portions, you're eating a good amount of protein and some fat. Also not stimulating insulin to a great degree. Also losing weight. What about paleo? Hey, no processed foods. You're still having a little bit of carbs on occasion, but they're all unprocessed and natural foods. Hey, low levels of insulin. Okay, decrease in body weight. How about Atkins? Atkins to me is pretty much the same thing as the ketogenic diet. So also influences on insulin. How about eating a little bit less, a little bit undercutting portion sizes? You're eating fewer calories, but you're also having a smaller range of insulin spikage. Also working towards lowering insulin levels. What about the zone diet, 30-30-40? So this one, you're just cutting down on portion sizes, you're mixing up your meals with a good amount of protein, fat, and carbs, small portion sizes frequently throughout the day. Also decreasing insulin levels. Boom. Okay, so seems pretty self-explanatory why all these diets work, okay? Why do they only work for a short amount of time though? That's the big question. So now, your body processes blood sugar and likes to stay in homeostasis. So let's just say this line is homeostasis. This is where your body likes to hang out in its blood sugar level, okay? There's obviously going to be a range of blood sugar level that is safe for the body and unsafe for the body, just to keep things simple. When we wake up from our fast in the morning, our blood sugar is fairly low, so it's down here, okay? Our body releases adrenaline and norepinephrine to kind of get our body's blood sugar level up to baseline. Your body also sends out a hunger signal saying, hey, you should probably get something to eat because your blood sugar level is low. This is where we have confused that signal and we've gotten it wrong so many times. We go to the fridge and, right in the process, our blood sugar levels are stabilizing and we're actually in a good place to burn more fat. The problem is we go in and we eat a bagel. That spikes up our insulin levels super high and then causes it to store. Insulin's a storage hormone. It's going to throw things into the liver, fat, and muscle cells. If the liver and muscle cells are all topped off full of glycogen and fuel, guess where it's going to go? It's going to go right into body fat. So right off the first start of the day, you have that first meal, you spike that insulin level up. Okay, so now a really high processed food group or high carbs or a good portion of protein, carbs, and fat in a large meal will spike insulin up greatly. So what would you think is going to happen during this scenario? Well, you're going to get a large spike and then followed by a large amount of storage. Your insulin levels are going to fall drastically after all that stuff is stored. And then you're not going to have anything left to use in the bloodstream, so your body's going to be like, well, I'm hungry again. So then, okay, so we reach for a package of potato chips. Okay, spiking the insulin levels up, all stores, okay? So we see this familiar pattern all across the board where we're constantly spiking insulin levels up in a high level and causing large amounts of storage, okay? So now, keep this in mind. Whenever insulin is up, fat burning is low, okay? So when we woke up and our fat burning hormones, adrenaline and epinephrine, we'll just say A and epinephrine, norepinephrine, when those come up to stabilize our blood sugar, what fuel source are they pulling towards? Well, they're pulling out of our storage of glycogen and fatty acids to use as fuel for the body. We're in a great place to burn extra fat at this point, which is why doing fasted cardio on an empty stomach is really good for burning extra fat calories. This has been known for years. So, but what happens after we eat that insulin, or after we eat that first meal, is we get a big insulin spike, and then we're not burning any fat. Sorry, that's just the way it is. So if you have a banana before you're going to work out and your goal is to burn as much amount of body fat as possible, no, that's not happening. Your body is going to work on processing that banana, and then shortly thereafter, maybe you'll get into fat loss, maybe not. Most likely not, because most exercise sessions are not going to burn off enough calories to burn off what we're doing during the day. We need to focus on what our basal metabolic rate is doing, because it burns more overall calories. So if your real goal is to burn body fat, you need to keep in this fasted state or in a unfed state as long as possible in the morning, and then try to spike insulin levels up very minimally. And this is the real reason why people are fat nowadays. So they're constantly hitting big spikes in insulin, and they never stop eating. Their body never has a chance to get into its reserve tank. So picture your body as having a reserve tank and a main tank. The main tank is just what you ate. So you ate breakfast this morning, your body's still running off that reserve tank. When you get hungry again and you start eating, you're always spiking a little bit of insulin level. Now remember some of the diets that I mentioned before, the ketogenic diet, the paleo diet. All those diets have a very small level of blood sugar response. So overall, this is better because we're getting less spikage of insulin and a more gradual progression of blood glucose. So we're able to stay within our baseline levels and get back to homeostasis quicker, which allows us to burn off more body fat. But the problem for many people is they're always at a high level of insulin. And here's what happens when you're used to hitting these big peaks in this curve for too long, either through eating lots of carbohydrates or lots of processed foods, or just big meals overall. If you're eating all the time, your insulin levels are chronically high. What happens when we get chronically high anything in the body? Well, the body tries to shift it down. It tries to downregulate it. So what we get is insulin resistance. Now this is just like a certain disease called type 2 diabetes. You see it all the time, where insulin levels are chronically high and the body is trying to back that off. And so basically insulin's kind of like a key to open up the liver, muscle, and fat cells to allow nutrients into the cell. With insulin resistance, it's like triple padlocking your cells and not allowing anything in unless there's a large amount of insulin available. So with a high level of insulin and a high level of insulin resistance, how do you expect to lose weight? Because insulin, remember, shuts off all your fat burning hormones. So if you're battling your hormones and chronically high levels of insulin, you don't have time to get down in this lower level of the curve where you can actually burn body fat. So what's the solution? The solution is fasting. I've practiced intermittent fasting for a long time, and the benefits are dramatic. Basically, intermittent fasting is just a method of not eating. It's basically the easiest diet plan ever. You just don't eat anything with any sort of calories for a certain amount of time. That way, when you come out of your fast in the morning and your blood sugar levels are low, your body automatically adjusts. You get hungry. Okay, sure. So I get a little hungry, I get a little lower in blood sugar because I'm up, and you know what? I've skipped meals before. Push through it. You push through it a little bit, the hunger pain goes away. Then your body stabilizes and you get another hunger pain. Boom. Okay? So basically the body is built for periods of fasting and feasting. Look back into our history if this scares you a little bit. The human race would not have evolved so poorly as to not have a mechanism for keeping us alive and going and operating at a high level without food. There's no creature on the planet that cannot operate without food for an extended period of time, 24 hours or more. The human body is the same way. We have a good level of adrenaline, norepinephrine, and other hormones that are helping us out, pulling body fat into circulation to use as fuel. And most of us have plenty of body fat to burn. So the solution for all this overweight BS is get your hormone levels under control. Fix your insulin resistance. if you can titrate yourself into being able to fast for an indefinite amount of time, not only will you feel better, but you'll have great improved health markers as well. Now, I'm not saying that you need to, fast for the entire length of, losing your weight, but if you have a lot of weight to lose, fasting is a good tool to put into your toolkit that will help you along the way. And ultimately, it's just about not eating anything, not consuming anything with any calories. Do you need to stay hydrated? Of course. You need to be drinking water, mineral water, coffee, tea, anything without calories, although I would avoid artificial flavorings and stuff because those have been known to spike up insulin levels as well. But controlling your insulin levels is the key to losing the most amount of body fat. And you can do this very easily. Trust me, you're not going to be able to gain weight if you're not eating anything for a whole day. Some people, and now keep in mind, the level of fat that you are, you have to regulate how long you're going to do your fast. And for most people, I say, hey, just start by skipping one meal. Then go progress, skip to another meal. And then once that becomes easy, go and skip until you can fast for almost 24 hours. Now, for some people, this is going to be really easy. For other people, this is going to be rough because you've never had to fast in your life and you've always been told, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You got to eat your 3 squares. You got to have energy for the day. Trust me, you have enough energy. If you're overweight and overfat, you have plenty of energy to pull from. You just need to learn how to mobilize it. And right now, the body does not know how to mobilize it because you're always spiking insulin levels up all over the place. So you're always storing stuff. You're never burning stuff. So keep this in mind the next time you try to start one of these fad diets. And maybe the best diet after all is eating nothing at all. Hey, if you like this video, give it a like. If somebody else might like to see it, give it a share. So also keep in mind, we are throwing together a little intermittent fasting plan here at the lab. We're gonna test it out and see how it works on a variety of people, and we'll have real live feedback for you on that one. So stay tuned, and I'll catch you next time.